matter of fact is that documentary is very, very specific because it's 100% archives, meaning that it's very, very rare, and I used only archives to build the narrative. Not only audio archives, because as you know, we hear Stanley Kubrick, and these are the recordings from Michel Simon's interviews. But I had also archives of other people talking, talking heads or interviews or clips. So basically, I had everything already set up and done, and then I had to think of a way to how to tell the story with that, and that was a great challenge. It's very rare. It sounds very easy actually when you watch the movie, but it's 100% archived. So it was tremendous work. I mean, about a year and a half. So that was quite challenging and quite tough too. Yes, the idea was to link all the archives and try to find something logical with Kubrick talking and what the film was about. So I had the idea of course, like of that room, which means to me and to a lot of people, mystery, secret, because it still interrogates people today. So I imagined to set up all the movie in that room and to link everything and all the archives in that room and to make it as if it was if the audience was in Stanley Kubrick's mind. Everything was planned. Everything was written before I shot the room. I had about 6 hours of interviews with Stanley Kubrick, so you can imagine the choices I had to make, but I had to make them because it's a documentary, and it's there's a lot of budget issues, sorry. So I had to make a lot of choices there. So of course I got all the interviews transcripted, and then I thought about a logical way to tell the story, not chronological. It's not a biography or a filmography. It's much more than this. That's why the film are not talked about in the chronological way, because I wanted to be more thoughtful with Kubrick's thoughts, actually. So I had to write it. I had to write it with the transcriptions of the interviews first on paper. It took a few months, and then when I had that, at the editing, we only edited the audio first. That was the first thing that we edited, and then the archives. I mean, the other archives, like clips and everything, and the interviews, and then from there, I thought about the process of the room and how I'm going to shoot the room to link what I had either in audio archives or video archives. So everything was perfectly thought. See what I mean? It was really, really, really well prepared, because I had I think I had almost 3 days of shooting there in the room, but it was very, very tough. We had a big crane. We had a wonderful crew. It was a fictional crew, actually. They worked on a lot of fiction there, because you had to, it's as if we were doing fiction, and it had to be the most perfect as possible to match what people had in mind and what people saw in 2001. So yeah, it was very difficult, and it's tricky and it's risky as well, because people know that film very, very well, and I had to be as perfect as possible, because people wouldn't mind a mistake. Yeah. So yeah. Stanley, I like a lot of people, a lot of fans. I read and listened and watched everything I could. So it's not that I learned something more, but I felt more closer to Stanley Kubrick. And I think that his voice is the thing that really appealed to me. It's really incredible because you never could imagine he had that voice. And I think that these archives and these audios, these interviews, listening to him really humanizes him. And I hope that that film, because there's been, there've been a lot of films on Stanley Kubrick, and there will be more, but that specific film, I think, adds really not the information, because of course a lot of people say, oh, we already know that, but that the goal of the film is not to learn something more, at least for fans, but it was to add that human side of Stanley Kubrick, guessing and thinking not only on his work, on his filmmaking, but also on the world and human being and his viewpoint on human being. And I think that's as important as filmmaking. And it was as important as filmmaking for Kubrick. And that really struck. And on the production process, I'm very used to fiction, because I come from there. I made short films. I always do fiction in my films, either documentaries or not documentaries. So I'm very used to that, and to the sets and everything. So I'm very comfortable with that. But that, making that room was exceptional, never happened. So I was like a kid, basically, on the set. And also, working on these archives, audio archives, we restored all the audios, actually, because they were audio taped on little tapes. It wasn't Nagra. So we had to restore them in the United States with a special production over there. I forgot the names, but they did a tremendous work to restore it, to clean it, to feel as if they were as clean as possible, as audible as possible. So that was, that was tough, that was long. But I hope that the result is there and that people like the movie and that they enjoy it. Much more difficult, actually, to work on audio. To build a movie based upon audio archives is very, very difficult. I knew it was difficult, but it was, well, and it sounds easy. A lot of people say, oh, it's easy, it could be a podcast. I read that from a few people. I wanted to answer them, oh, I'm sorry, but it's a 6-hour interviews, and I had to reduce it on 75 minutes. So I had to make some choice. I had a lot of editing there, and it's a tremendous work. Again, it's more than 1.5 years. So it's not easy, and it's not a podcast. So people must be aware of that. Well, I want to answer to these people too. Okay, try it. Try to do it, and we'll see if it's easy.